The greatest warrior Greece ever knew. A warrior dipped in the river Styx. A hero destined for eternal glory and an early death. This is the tragic story of Achilles, the greatest hero of the Trojan War. Welcome back to the channel, The Eternal Odyssey. Today, we unravel the complete myth of Achilles, from his divine birth to his legendary death. Grab your armor, because this story is full of gods, prophecies, rage, and one fatal weakness. Part 1. The wedding of Peleus and Thetis. Achilles was the son of Peleus, a mortal king of the Myrmidons, and Thetis, a near-eyed sea goddess. But their union wasn't random. According to myth, both Zeus and Poseidon once desired Thetis for themselves. However, the titan Prometheus, in some versions, the seer Themis prophesied that Thetis would bear a son greater than his father. If Zeus or Poseidon fathered the child, he might overthrow them, just as Zeus had overthrown Cronus. To avoid this cosmic danger, Zeus arranged for Thetis to marry a mortal, Peleus. The wedding was held on Mount Pelion and attended by all the gods. At the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, the guests included mortals and gods from Olympus. However, Eris was not invited because she was the goddess of discord, and wherever she went, she took trouble with her. Eris was angry at not being invited, and so came to the wedding party to take revenge. In revenge, Eris threw the golden apple inscribed, "To the fairest," into the crowd of goddesses. This led to the famous quarrel between Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, which in turn led to Paris' judgment and, eventually, the Trojan War itself. Part 2. Birth of a legend. From the union of Peleus and Thetis came Achilles. At his birth, prophecy declared he will be the greatest warrior of his time. But if he goes to Troy, his life will be short. Thetis, desperate to protect him, dipped the infant into the river Styx, making his body invulnerable except for the heel where she held him. This later gave rise to the term Achilles' heel, a metaphor for a person's fatal weakness. Peleus entrusted Achilles to Chiron, who lived on Mount Pelion and was known as the most righteous of the centaurs to be reared. In some accounts, Achilles' original name was Ligyron, and he was later named Achilles by his tutor Chiron. According to Homer, Achilles grew up in Phthia with his childhood companion Patroclus. Homer further writes that Achilles taught Patroclus what he himself had been taught by Chiron, including the medical arts. Part 3. Hidden childhood. From the very start, Achilles' life was shaped by fate. He could live a long, obscure life at home, or a short but glorious life at Troy, his name remembered forever. Knowing her son was fated to die young, Thetis tried to keep him safe. When the Trojan War loomed and Greek leaders began recruiting heroes, Thetis decided to hide her son from the call to military. Thetis sent Achilles to the court of King Lycomedes on the island of Scyros. There, Achilles was disguised as a girl among the king's daughters. Ancient writers differ on the details, but many say he lived under the female name Pyrrha, meaning flame-colored or red-haired, because of his reddish-blonde hair. During his stay at Scyros, Achilles had a secret relationship with Didymae, one of Lycomedes' daughters. From this union came a son, Neoptolemus, also called Pyrrhus, who would later play a major role in the final sack of Troy. This detail adds irony, even in hiding. Achilles was already tied to the Trojan War through his future son. Part 4. Odysseus' trick. While living as a maiden, he grew up away from the eyes of Greek recruiters, safe from the destiny that awaited him. But destiny could not be avoided. The Greek leaders knew they couldn't win the Trojan War without Achilles. When the Greek fleet gathered at Aulis to sail for Troy, the seer Calchas declared that they could not win without Achilles. Odysseus, master of cunning, was sent to find the hidden hero. Disguised as a merchant, Odysseus visited Scyros, bringing fine women's jewelry, but also weapons and armor. When the disguised Achilles instinctively reached for the weapons instead of the jewelry, his identity was revealed. Another version says Odysseus staged a mock alarm of attack by blowing a trumpet. While the maidens fled in fright, Achilles grabbed a spear and prepared to fight, exposing himself. Once discovered, Achilles could no longer escape his destiny. He joined the Greek army, bringing with him his Myrmidons, who were the soldiers commanded by Achilles, and sailed for Troy. The years of hiding only delayed the prophecy. It could not be avoided. The greatest warrior was ready for war. Achilles' disguise reflects the tension between fate and free will. Thetis tried to rewrite destiny, but her efforts only postponed it. It also shows Achilles' dual nature. Though dressed as a girl, he could not suppress his warrior's spirit. The spear always called to him. And importantly, his time at Scyros gave rise to Neoptolemus, ensuring Achilles' bloodline would be part of Troy's downfall, even after his own death. Part 5, the Trojan War begins. Achilles sailed with his army, the Myrmidons, to Troy and joined the Greek coalition with his army. He was still very young, but already the most feared warrior. Early in the war, he raided nearby towns and islands allied with Troy. In one of these raids, he captured Briseis, the woman who would later become the center of his quarrel with Agamemnon. Early in the campaign, Agamemnon captured a priest's daughter, Chryses, as his prize. Her father, Chryses, a priest of Apollo, appealed to Apollo to recover her. Apollo sent a plague on the Greek camp. The seer Calchas revealed the cause. The Greeks must return Chryses to stop the plague. Agamemnon, forced to give Chryses back, felt his honor wounded by being compelled to yield. To compensate himself publicly, he demanded another prize. He took Briseis, who had been captured by Achilles and symbolized Achilles' success and status as the greatest Greek warrior. In the Homeric world, captured women and other prizes are not mere property. They are visible tokens of honor and success. Possession of a prize confers social standing. Agamemnon's act was not a private reallocation, it was public humiliation. By taking Briseis in front of the assembled Greeks, Agamemnon effectively robbed Achilles of time and implied Achilles was subordinate and dishonored. Achilles' reaction must be read in that cultural frame. Pride, reputation, and public standing are central to a hero's identity. Losing Briseis meant a loss of honor that could not easily be compensated by private protest. Achilles sees the seizure as intolerable. Rather than submit, he withdraws from fighting, refuses to give Agamemnon another prize, and demands public apology. He also threatens to return home, abandoning the Greek cause. He even prayed that the Trojans would gain the upper hand, so the Greeks would regret dishonoring him. Achilles' choice is not merely petulance. It is principled according to the heroic code. One must defend time, and one's reputation even at great cost. Achilles prioritizes personal honor and glory over immediate communal utility. Part 6, Patroclus' death. Achilles' closest companion and dearest friend, Patroclus, could not bear to watch the Greeks suffer. He asked Achilles to lend him his armor and lead the Myrmidons into battle. Achilles agreed, but warned him not to pursue the Trojans too far. In the heat of battle, Patroclus disobeyed, was struck down by Apollo, wounded by Euphorbus, and finally slain by Hector. Hector stripped Achilles' armor from Patroclus' body, a symbolic humiliation. Patroclus fought bravely and pushed the Trojans back, but he was killed by Hector with Apollo's help. This was the emotional breaking point for Achilles. His personal grief now outweighed his wounded pride. Part 7. Rage of Achilles. The news shattered Achilles. Grief-stricken and furious, Achilles reconciled with Agamemnon, who returned Briseis and offered rich gifts. Thetis obtained new, divine armor for Achilles, forged by Hephaestus, including the famous shield depicting the cosmos, and human life. With his rage rekindled, Achilles re-entered the war, now fighting not for prizes, but for vengeance. Once back, Achilles became unstoppable. He slaughtered scores of Trojans, driving them back in terror. He fought the river god Scamander, also known as Xanthus, after choking the river with the bodies of the slain. Only divine intervention saved him. His fury was described as godlike, a force of nature that even the gods feared. Achilles became a force of nature, slaughtering Trojans, seeking only Hector. The climax of Achilles' campaign was his duel with Hector, Troy's greatest warrior. Hector first fled around the walls of Troy 3 times before facing Achilles. With Athena's help, she disguised herself to trick Hector. Achilles overcame him. He killed Hector and, in brutal vengeance, tied his body to his chariot, dragging it around the city walls. This act shocked even the gods. It went beyond warrior honor into brutal desecration. Later, guided by Hermes, King Priam of Troy secretly entered the Greek camp to beg for Hector's body. In one of the most moving scenes in Greek mythology, Priam kissed the hands of the man who killed his son and appealed to Achilles' sense of compassion. Achilles, reminded of his own father, wept with Priam and returned Hector's body for a proper funeral. This moment showed Achilles' humanity beyond his rage, a rare glimpse of empathy and reconciliation. Part 8. The death of Achilles. Though invincible in battle, Achilles could not escape his fate. Shortly after Hector's death, he fought further campaigns near Troy, killing Penthesilea, queen of the Amazons, and Memnon, son of the dawn goddess Eos. His death came when Paris, guided by Apollo, shot an arrow that struck him in his only vulnerable spot, his heel. The greatest warrior of Greece fell, fulfilling the prophecy. Part 9. Aftermath and Legacy. The Greeks fought fiercely to recover his body. He was cremated, and his ashes were placed in the same urn as Patroclus, symbolizing their unbreakable bond. His divine armor was awarded to Odysseus, sparking jealousy in Ajax, which led to Ajax's tragic downfall. His son, Neoptolemus, later came to Troy and played a brutal role in the city's final destruction. Achilles' armor passed to Odysseus, and his legend passed into history. He became the ultimate symbol of glory and mortality, the hero who chose eternal fame over a long, quiet life. Achilles' adventure in the Trojan War was not about cunning strategies like Odysseus, or wanderings like Aeneas. It was about honor, rage, friendship, grief, and destiny. His journey moves from prideful withdrawal to devastating loss, from merciless rage to a moment of compassion, before ending in the tragic fulfillment of prophecy. That is the complete story of Achilles, a warrior born of gods, consumed by rage, and remembered forever. What do you think? Was Achilles a tragic victim of fate, or the ultimate hero who embraced destiny? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, hit like button, subscribe, and ring the bell icon for more tales from the Greek mythology. Until next time, may the gods watch over your battles. Thank you.